Welcome back to Factorio Megabase-In-A-Book. My name is Nilaus, and man, have I lit a fire under the community. That is so amazing. So just my little attempt at doing some plastic last time, and then not really being successful at the end, and then leaving it for the good people of the community to come up with better suggestions. That was a good idea. Not gonna lie, that was turned out to be an absolutely amazing idea. So thank you very much, everyone who has provided their insights. The insights have come in different forms and qualities. What I'll be doing in this episode is that I'll be reviewing the suggestions, not all of them, but the ones that have blueprints and the ones that weren't sort of completely out. There are some that I just couldn't find anything positive to say, so I've just skipped those. Or some that just didn't fit with the design criteria of city blocks and that kind of thing. Also skip that. But there are really, really cool designs, and what I'm going to do is then review these designs. Then we are going to take what we learn and try to see if we can build one that's better than all of the ones that have been suggested, or basically just taking the best from each of the builds and then combining it into our own build. Cool. And yeah, I'm really surprised at the feedback, and that's also why we're going to be going so much into detail, because I can see there's a lot of work put in. So thank you very much, everyone in the community. And while we are on the thank yous before diving in, then let me also thank the patrons who are supporting this and making sure that we can continue to do this series for just a while longer. We are not gonna lie, there aren't a lot of episodes left, according to sort of my setup here, but that's okay. We've also almost achieved all we wanted, and then maybe it's time for me to move on to other things instead of Factorio. But you know, every temper of the path will extend the series by one more episode. Anyway, let's dive into the review. So what I've done is I've combed through my Discord. Some things were like clearly handwritten notes in written during class or something. I've completely ignored that. It's too abstract. I've also ignored any text descriptions where it just goes like, oh, you just need to flip that one, turn that one, and then move it over 2 tiles. Like, I don't understand that. So what I'm going to focus on is designs such as the one from Teddy. And then we're going to look at basically reviewing it and just seeing, okay, so what are we seeing here? This is this is speed 6.05 and this is speed 3.55. So I'm actually starting with a really good one here, because those are the key numbers. 605 plus 355, the speed respectively, means that there is a really good ratio here. I'm going to call that a perfect ratio. There is a slight deficit, so instead of maybe making 9.23, it's probably making 9.2 in this case, or something to that effect. So I'm going to say this is a 9.2 per second per wagon. That's one of my design criteria, is how much is it producing. If there are fewer beacons, then it's going to produce less, and then it's a less good build, obviously, because hey, it's basically taking somewhat the same floor space. Another concern is also, is it taking too much space? And then, or it's not great. It's not really that it matters very much, but you know, it shouldn't take more space than absolutely necessary. Another criteria that I'm looking at is the beacons, like how many beacons. Here we have 29 beacons for 2 wagons. That's kind of also a measure. That means basically 14.5 beacons per repeatable pattern. Another very important thing is to check whether it is actually tileable, because it has to be either 7 tiles wide or 14 tiles wide. 14 tiles is 2 wagons, 7 tiles is 1 wagon. So either of those are good. And if it doesn't tile, I just throw it out, because it can't be used. It has to tile like that, with one exception, because there has been someone who's been clever enough to do that. So what do I like about it? I like the ratios. I like the compactness. What do I not like about it? Well, I also like the fact that it is adhering to this. We have to remember that this output will be 9.2, so we need to make sure that it can actually output 9.2. There's a buffer input, buffer output, also important. There's a buffer input on oil, also important. And what I do not like is this part. The fact that it is not tileable, or let's more saying mirrorable. Yeah, mirrorable. That's not a word. We'll call it tileable, but you know what I mean. It's like I can't do this thing here. I can do it on the oil side, but I can't do it here because it relies on having beacons on the other side. So good ratios, but yeah, not great on the design part. Moving on, well, not great on the design part, but doesn't live up to my expectations for sort of the perfect build. Rust Partisan has done something interesting. So here we have a problem initially, that is, it doesn't scale by neither 7 or 14. And that should immediately disqualify it, because you can see this is 5 wide plus 1, 2, plus 1, 2, or plus 1. So that's 8 wide. That means it's slightly wider, but the way that it's been set up is that it actually works because it's sort of, this one is slightly out to the side, and on the other side it's slightly out to the side, but it still manages to fit into a 181 train. It maybe wouldn't work into a 32 wagon train, but without having sort of extra size. But it's a cool way of just I don't know, usurping the expectations of it has to be tileable by 7 or 14 and going like, no, it actually doesn't. So great thoughts here. It is super fast. It's still 6.05 on this part. If we look at on the other side here, this is also the right ratio. So we are looking for 605 for the Royal Refinery, and we're looking at 3.5 for the chemical plants. That's the ratio we want, ideally. And if I look at this, you can see the one thing I'm not so keen on is this part here. The fact that I'm using quite a lot of belts to flow it around here. It picks up the coal, but it's also correctly set that it's on the coal. I don't actually know why it's not just doing... Wouldn't this be easier? It's less belts. It's 3 belts instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 belts. I don't know. I'm not going to be redesigning this, but the belt thing here is the one thing that sort of... Okay, this one has a different shape. It's still funny. Again, why not? Why not like this? Isn't this just better? It's fewer belts. Well, what do I know? Or even to the point where you can go here, there, and then it's 2 belts. That's better. I don't know. I think there's a potential for this to be less belts. It does look really nice, and that's what I respect. Rust Partisan has been helping a lot with the advanced train design, so I would expect nothing less. I like it. It does have sort of these sort of custom belts here. It just makes me a bit go, yeah, I don't know. It's not because it's necessarily bad. It just, yeah, it is tileable in the sense that you can build it on around here and around there. It's not double tileable in the sense that you can't recycle both the coal and the oil inbound. Good design, has a few things that can look at again. Here we have another design. It is also having the same problem on the tileability. This is not tiling correctly, so we have to be able to make sure that it is actually able to get from all of these. Why did I not have enough of this? That's weird. All right. But it still manages to get it from a train, so it uses the same principle that has been used by Rust Partisan, and I'm going to build that up here, and we're going to be building some ghostlies here. Just making sure that they are all hitting correctly. Yes, they are. So this one is from Topra, and here there's some. So what is wrong with this one? Well, what is wrong is that this is taking more inserters than needed. If you look at the speed, this is now speed 4. This is speed 405, but this is speed 6.55. So this one's actually faster than the other one, which I think is very interesting. So it's faster, but being it's faster, there's also the problem here about, can it then support 4 per second on a long-handed inserter, on a single long-handed inserter? I think it can, but I think it's also really close. So that's that might be a problem, and I haven't really just looked into it. But there's also like the other alternative is to do something like what just like this, for example. It's not great, but it's the question is now this is 1, 2, 3, 4 entities, while this is 1, 2, 3, 4 entities. So I think it's going to be the same in terms of calculations, and that's what we're looking at. Also, I don't actually think this is necessary. It's outputting here. This one's outputting pretty quickly, 10 per second, though. This is not a problem at all. So we don't need extra buffers here. That only helps on loading the train faster, but ultimately that's not really particularly interesting. Again, this has like some belt shenanigans here that, yeah, just not super enthusiastic about, to be honest. Yeah, not really. Oh yeah, this one is not working, by the way, because I just forgot that now there's no input buffer. So yeah, it does have some issues on the input buffer. So I'm like, okay, yeah, interesting, but not really there. The next one is this one from Rascal Hunter. And we are looking at the ratios again, 4.55, so that is not the 6.05 we're looking for, and this is 3.05. So this one is slower, and we're down to 7.5 plastic per second. And I just feel that it's a bit of a shame to build something that isn't quite getting there, right? It's not using the maximum. This is basically taking the one that I built and just making it work a bit better by just shuffling these two around and getting that one in here. So I think that it's looking good, but I feel there's also a bit of misplaced. Why are we missing iron? Oh, look, but hold on. I'm missing iron, but you know what's not missing? Ta-da! Blue circuits, baby. Blue circuits are great. Plastic, not great. Or iron, not great. But damn, that's cool. It's cool that we finally got that. Anyway, that's something. By me building all of these, that has sort of progressed the base quite a bit, and that progression is what is the reason why I'm not having issues with plastic anymore. So we're catching up. Now back to this one. I feel that there's missing something on here, and this one is also having the issue that it's going outbound on a belt and no output buffer. That means when the train leaves, this one's going to get stuck until the next train comes in. So it must have an output buffer and an input buffer, in my opinion. That's just how I want it. So we'll leave it and move on to the next. Let's move on over. Why there's something not... Oh, that's the rails I built, or the stations I built. And we're going to come all the way down to the next one. That's from Mr. Mycelium. Has provided a few different ones. This one, the key point about this is that it relies on one double track. And that's something I did in my true megabase. And it's a pretty cool idea that you have two stations right next to each other. And you can see that the position is slightly different. And you will then get the coal train in, unloaded, get it out. A plastic tank comes in, gets loaded, goes out, coal train comes in. It works. It needs some circuits to control it. And I'm not saying it's fragile, because it really isn't that fragile. It's just something I'd like to avoid in this setup. So I don't think it's per se wrong, but it's just one of those things where it's just not what we want. Okay, I think also this must be incorrect, because it should not be picking up plastic. It should be picking up coal. Coal's going in, plastic going out, not the other way around. But that's like a minor thing. These belts are basically monitoring and saying when it's dropped below, when it is more than 4K, bring in a train. This one is only monitoring the first one, so it's just assuming that they are all going to be the same. That's fair enough. So it basically says when there's more than 4K in the first one, that means you can load a full train. So bring in a plastic train, then open the station. This one says when it drops below 400 in the first one, then bring in another coal train. It makes sense. It works. What is also interesting here is that this is actually clocked with a set filter. And can I see where it is? Oh, there's a... Okay, there's some copy pasting. Where are you? Where are you? There's got to be some clocking thing here. somewhere there has to be a clock that sets the filter only at certain intervals. Or is it coming from? Yeah, you can see it blinking. So somewhere there is a counter that only picks it up once in a while. I think that could be a problem. I'm not 100% sure. It's a way to sort of keep it idle and then force it to only be active at certain intervals. It is a way to save on updates in very big bases. However, in this case, since we're not having a train all the time, we need to make sure that when the train is... Oh, no, it's not actually a problem. It's this one. It's output-wise, then it's fine. It's down here. This one works, right? There's the counter. Yeah, it's just counting up, and you can see it flickers, and every some interval it sends a signal. So this is definitely more advanced. It's also relying a bit more on circuits than I like. So I'm going to be saying that's a cool idea. Ratio-wise, 605, 355. That's the perfect ratio we're looking for. So this is a very good design. It's just not exactly what I was looking for. So we're going to leave that as such. So here we have one from Johannes. And let's... now, first thing is that when I saw it, I was like, I love this. Like the fact that like this simplicity, instead of what I did was taking the plastic in between the rails, then looking at it like this and go, that is brilliant. Now, this has the problem that it's just not fast enough. This is fast enough, 3.55, but the oil refinery cannot keep up. So you actually have a situation where the oil refinery is just missing a lot of modules here. Also, this is outputting plastic on the belt. If this is running at full speed, then 9.2, then we have to ask ourselves, is this going to be functional? Is it going to be fast enough? I would definitely go that it outputs on the belt and then puts it into the buffer instead of outputting on the buffer and then putting out on the belt. I think that's better, because when the train comes in, I want to be able to load the train from a chest instead of from a belt, because chest to chest or chest to train is way faster than belt to train. So this one has one thing, and the reason why I'm keeping this, it's because this thing is pretty cool and I like that. The other thing needs some tweaking to be at better ratio. So good idea and a good little design nugget we can take along. Moving on here, then we have one from Why Me in Trouble, and it has this issue, and I just think we just highlight this. This is taking coal from the coal train, and there's no internal buffer, so that means when the coal train is empty, it leaves, then it can't put in more, and since this one is operational, then it'll run out until the next coal train comes in, and it almost doesn't matter how fast the coal train is sort of backed up. It's going to be a glip, and that means it's not producing constantly. So that's going to leave that on the wayside. Then we have another extensive one. Reminds me very much about the one from Mr. Mycellum over here. It also has the shared line here from that is corresponding to the one we have from our from the True Megabase build. Look at that. This is actually nice. We don't have any iron issues, and sorry, I got distracted, but I got distracted by me. I need an everything okay alarm, so that when there are no warnings, it'll just go like wah, 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 so that I know that there are no alarms here. Oh, look at that, train congestion. How cute that is. Nice to see that things are going on. That's a lot of copper moving around. I wonder if this is a sign of things to come. Probably is. Or it's just like random that I just happen to be looking at a location where there's a bit of congestion. The iron part is bugging me. I think this might be one of the things that's been highlighted about there's a big latency on the iron part. And therefore there might not be a problem, but it could look like there's a problem because of the lead time on this. If we look at this, and if we'll just look at science, I just got distracted, sorry. Science, it is now actually working at 5K. It's not worked like that. It dipped and then it came back. So for the last 36 minutes, it's been operating at all at full capacity, and it looks like it's stabilizing. In any case, back to this one. Let's look at the ratios. This is 5.55. I want it to be 6.05. This is 3.55. So if we look at the ratio between these, we can see that it is now has a deficit of petroleum, and that means it's not actually producing all that it needs to do, and that's a bit of a shame. And that also means that it's so close, but since it's not at perfect ratio, then I can't really just go all in on this. Now here we have a different design. This is from, where is it? Where are you? War Captain Gaming. Now, War Captain Gaming has built the whole build for us. It's really cool. I like it. Now, some of the things I really like and some of the things I don't really like. Let's have a look at that. I forgot to take notes on this one. Why did I not take notes on this? Oh well, look, I know that I calculated it. So here's the thing. This one is producing 200 per second, while this is consuming 182. So we are overproducing slightly too much here. And I like the compactness here. I like the fact that there's a buffer input and a buffer output. That's really nice. It fits really well. I love this part. There are a few redundant belts like these, or pipes like this, and that one as well. Also redundant. Doesn't matter. It's just feel really weird that this is ultra compact, and this one is super open. This could definitely be more compact, not that it really matters very much. I think it could be just squeezed in a few tiles on one side or the other. But the main part here, there's also, in my opinion, a bit too much buffer here. Again, this is designed not to be perfectly tileable in the setup, but actually just to work. So this part here is tileable, and it works with the train. I like this design. I particularly like the compactness here. It just a stark contrast between the compactness here and that part over here. This is also taking 2 refineries or 2 here. Yeah, so I think it's taking up a bit too much space compared to some of the other builds that we were looking at, like for example this one, where they're next to each other and they still manage to get to 6.05. These are 8.55, so they're really fast because they want to keep up with that. We're getting attacked a lot of places now. I guess that's because the whole base is operational. So I like this, and I especially like the fact that it's set up here. There's also a buffer as well. So that's really nice. I like it. It just takes a bit too much space here. Nice. Moving on, Sulk has also provided one. This is, I've actually provided a few examples. This one is illustrating how it tiles. That's a plastic build and a plastic train and a copper coal train and a coal train as well. And it comes in with the oil on either side. Looking good. It has buffers in, buffers out. Let's look at ratios, 2.55 and 4.55. So it is much slower than the other ones we've been looking at, and it's only at 6.6. So even though it looks nice, then it just kind of misses a bit on the let's try to be effective as possible. So good ideas, not quite there. Moving on to the last of these designs, it's from Pilgrim and showing more of a 1.4 design. It is tileable in the, no, it's actually not. It doesn't look like it's completely tileable, because if I set that one in the middle here and then do the next one in the middle, then it actually has 2 off from tileable, which is not a problem for a 1.4 train. But if I do a 1.81 train, is that going to be too imbalanced to fit in? I don't know. If we look at this ratio, this is 3.55, this is 4.55. That means there's going to be a deficit on oil, and it therefore does not produce the 9.2 that it is advertising here. So it needs a few more beacons around this. So we've gotten inspiration from a lot of really cool examples here. What I also want to show you is another example that is one attempt that was at actually doing a coal liquefaction, and I think it's just so much work going into it, and it's so cool. And I did a lot of the checking on the calculations to make sure that it actually works, because that's the hardest part about doing the coal liquefaction setup, is that it's very likely to just not fit. And you have to do it manually. You can't trust the rate calculator to do it for you, because so this is it, and this is made by fried chips, and there are even certain variations to it. Let's walk through it. Let me say the one thing that just irks me a bit and immediately just turned me a bit off on this, but it's not actually a big problem. It's this part. All of these have their own self-starters, and this is only for self-starting as far as I can tell. And I think that's a good idea to have a self-starter. I don't think it's a good idea to have a self-starter for everything. If you want to do it like this, I would probably just set up one and then just link them all together or something like that. I don't think it's necessary to have all of this built in there, but that's a minor detail. It's much more interesting to look at the actual ratios. This one is 605, so it's the fast ratio that we have for all of them. We have the coal train coming in here. Coal train is going in and feeding the boilers, and the boilers go in here. That's a really cool way of doing it. That means it's not tileable, but I mean, this is a proof of concept more than anything. It goes in here, gets it into this location, and it is monitoring that one. Yeah, whether we want to contain it is up to us. So what happens is, here we have the heavy oil. The heavy oil goes into a box storage tank, but it will not be pushing further because it won't only push further once it has 3000 in here. This one will only do it when it has less than 1000, so it's kind of just topping up. So that means this is guaranteeing that it'll first flow back and feed in here before it'll move further down the line. Once it moves further down the line, it goes into the heavy oil to this part. If we look at these two together, just those two, and make sure that I don't get anything else there, then we can see that it looks like it's not quite enough. And it's bugging me a bit, this part. This has a net surplus of 102.25. This one has a net consumption rate of 112. So it is consuming more than it's producing. Great. That means every heavy oil, or all the heavy oil, can be converted. Great. And then when we do the conversion, we are looking here. This pushes further down and merges together with the light oil coming from up here. It's brilliantly made. This one, these two together can convert 151. And as my calculations was that it was 132 or 131 that we have. So it is also converting all of it, going down here. And this is another clever little thing here. The one thing though that we can say is that, well, I'm gonna have to have two coal trains. This has to be coal and that has to be coal in order for it to work. Here's another clever idea, using a splitter to transfer things. Splitters work really well. Inserting into a splitter is super fast, faster than inserting into an underground belt. So that's pretty cool. There's also something about like doing this. I can't remember what it is, but somehow, some illogical way, it actually goes even slightly faster when inserting into a prioritized splitter. But that's a clever use of splitter, and I think that's one of the key cool designs here that I really like. And then it goes in, but it does need a lot of space. It's not tileable, and it needs two inputs of coal, which is kind of one of the things that I really want to avoid. The whole point of having this was that there would be one input, one output, and now here's two inputs and one output. We're running out of oil. That's absurd. That's the weirdest thing. I need that all okay alarm. Right, so what are we going to do with all of this? Well, we are going to take all that we have learned, all that we've seen, and then we're going to build it I'm going to say better, but better is only according to my priorities. So bear with me, and you might be like, oh, mine is better than that. Yep, it is, but mine is mine, and therefore it's better according to my priorities. I know, that's just how it goes. The unfairness of being the guy with the microphone. There and there. We're going to start like this. And that will go into, please let me have that. Yes. Here and here. These will be, I'm going to do the oil part. Right. So far so good. We know some key things. What do we know? We know that this has to be powered. Yes. This has to be 6.05 and the other one has to be 3.5. So let's look at something like this one. Nope. Where are you? It's a weird crafting speed. Where are you? There were some good ones here. That one. 605 and 3.55. Those are the key numbers. So this is affected by 9 sources. That means 6 beacons and 3 internal. This one has to have 14. That means 3. That's 11 beacons on it. Okay. So there has to be something like this. Also, another thing that I really liked was this part here. So we're going to see if we can build something like this. Basically, taking this one and then saying we need to make sure that sort of split it here and split it there. That's the objective. So we need to make beacons all the way around. Do we have enough beacons? I don't think we do. We definitely want a beacon here in the middle. And we definitely want these. And we also need to make sure that we get some power for all of this. We're just going to make power just irrelevant right now, and then we'll fix power later on as we go along. There. That is still affecting, yes. And then we need to get more on this side. And here comes, oh no, don't ever run out. Damn. All right, one more thing that I have to check for my own as well. It has to make sure, I have to make sure that it is tiling correctly. Let's get that out of the way. There we go. So is it tiling correctly? This one has to go into the middle here, and this one goes into the middle here. Great. Build. Okay, it is building. And we need to make sure that we have power for all of this. So where are we at now? This is 4.05. Then let's build another line like this. And then we are actually, I think this will actually make it too fast. Don't care about the pipes right now, or belts right now. There. This is now 6.55. That's too fast. So I'm going to be taking this one, dialing it back a bit, like this. 605, 605. Okay. Hold on. Can I do this better? Six oh five, 605. Yeah, so there's fewer here by aligning it like this. Okay, so these are now 605. That's the number we wanted. Now the next part comes in, and that's going to be for that one. Let's make it so that it actually aligns here and here. Ah, okay. Plastic and good. Now I don't think that's gonna work, but let's see. Get some power, and we need to get some more here. Build it here. So that is, this is 405, 3.55. That's weird. I'm gonna do that here. So you go into that location. Now it actually looks like I'm deliberately obstructing my own progress here by saying, hey, I could have gotten this one a bit faster, and I could have got this one a bit faster. Shouldn't I take that? I feel it is more important to get the whole thing being consistent than it is to be the whole thing being as fast as possible. So if this one is faster and this one is faster, then it's not really going to load the train faster, because it's, oh my god, why are we now getting other things? All right, that's going to be, then I guess we know what we're going to do next time. Now we go back to the Johannes design here, this part here. Let's see if we can copy that sort of more or less directly in. Oh yeah, that was one of the issues with this. This doesn't tile correctly because there's tiles in here. So this is tiling by 8. So we can't really do this, but let's try to get some part of it. Yeah, that was completely useless, honestly, to do it this way. That's not working. So can I move the whole thing one up? Yeah, I can definitely move this one up. So let's do that. This one as well, one up. And that should be a train line here. And then we want another train line here. This will be indicated as plastic. And coal. And there's a reason why I want this. All right, so let's see. I will be doing outbound, outbound, inbound, and I will be unloading the train from, oops, here, there. So again, we are unloading the train. We should probably do unloading it like this. Because it's more important to get it unloaded faster, because the coal doesn't need to go in here very quickly. So it's probably better to just unload the coal train, set the coal train out, move on, and then have the buffer there. Presumably. That will be here then. I guess this is looking better if it's on the side. So it's kind of more compacted here. I'm going to do this, but no tracks. And that one. I like this. That's maybe a bit too many inserters. So let's, or here, let's see if we can get rid of some of this. And see if we can fit in some bigger power poles. Also, we need to make here. Know that it's tiling correctly, so that's okay. And then we see if we could build that here. And then how far we have to go down, like that. And everything is now powered. All we need is just a bit of light. There we go. Got a bit of light there. Got a bit of light there. Everyone's happy. All right. Do we not like this? I like this way more than any of the other builds. So this is basically just taking the knowledge we have from all of the other designs and combining it into something that I think looks better. But hold on. If you're still around, it gets better than this, because there's a freaking potential here. There's a potential for making this tileable around these two lines, because I left nothing around these two lines. So wouldn't it be possible for me to do something like this? Something like this. Actually, I want everything except the tracks. So I can make it like there. There. And then the question is, can I not do this somehow? Well, it's going to be a bit different, because now I have input here. So this is going to be an input. Okay. And then we have a bit more issues when it comes to output. And I think we might want to move these over anyway, so we have some space. Because now we have the issue that I have to output on a belt like this. Output on belt. This is outputting at a ratio of 9.2. Can 9.2 go into a one-sided belt? Kind of, I think. I think it can, but I'm not 100% sure. And that will go in here. If that's possible, freaking awesome, isn't it? There. And I think I want to do what? Here. There. So if this actually works, then we now have something that is tileable with only a single plastic train, only a single coal train, and it continues to be tileable. And I think it's tileable. The only thing that isn't tileable is this part. If I move this over, it doesn't connect up there. So it has to be it has to be like that. Or we can shift the whole thing one over just to make the power poles align. But if the power poles are not aligning, that's the least of our problem, isn't it? I think. Or is it? Or is it one of the major problems? Then we need this one moving over. And then the question becomes, is that even feasible? If I move it there, it has to be right there. And then that has to be, you know what? You know what? Screw it. If you really want to, then that is an option. And if I look at these trains, could happen. I'm not really sure, but then it'll be even tighter on this part. Huh. That's pretty cool. It takes one more pipe than strictly necessary. And everything is working at ratio 605, 605, 355, 355, and the same on this side. I think this is the best possible setup we can have. The only concern is it possible to do this one fast enough? There is luckily a way for us to test that. So let's give that a shot as test. We are going to go in here, set up our cheat mode, and invent some trains and some oil trains here. I'm going to be putting some oil trains here. Oops. And these will have crude oil. And there's something about trains and stuff like that, and they don't really work unless they have a station. So I'm going to have a station here. And this is just for testing purposes. So of course we are totally okay with just getting a few things here. Where is our, I know we have that. All right, I can't find it. You are going to go to tests, go, and then that unloads. These are working, great. And then I need some more of these test trains. And we wait for autosave. Yeah, sorry for going a bit long on this. There. And what I need to do is, this is going to be the coal trains. So I will have some fixed coal filter here. These are the kind of things that we... And this one will be infinite filters, plastic, at most 100. So it deletes anything beyond that. The question we need to look for is, will this one be able to unload on the belt and offload on the belt fast enough? And the answer is yes. This one is working full. So this is just a confirmation that we needed to do, and it's like the easiest way to confirm if things are actually working. We also can see that things can be pumped out of here easily. So what we have now is we've now confirmed that yes, it works, and this is my setup. I am extremely happy about it, and I could not have gotten it without the inspiration from all of your inputs. I think we might do some more of these kind of design challenges in the future, because I think that the confluence of our ideas is much better than any one of us independently. So a big thanks to everyone who participated in this little design challenge and threw in your ideas for me to review. And thank you very much. I will see you guys in the next episode. And of course, a big particular thanks to the Patreon supporters who are supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Until next time, take care and stay effective.